Hola, buenas noches a todos. This is Abelardo de la Peña Jr. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications with La Plaza de Cultura y Artes. And I'm welcoming you to En Casa con la Plaza. En Casa con la Plaza is, of course, La Plaza's virtual programming. We've been at it since April of 2020, a little bit over a year, and bringing you the best of our community's history, art, culture, and much, much more through these presentations, demonstrations, conversations, and performances. Tonight we have a really special one and very timely as well. But before I get to it and introduce our guests tonight, I'd like to first of all welcome you again. If you're on Zoom, we have the chat section there. You can let us know where you're viewing from. De donde son? We'd like to know who our viewers are. And you could also use the comment section to do shout outs, to ask questions, to make comments. If you have a question to our guest or to myself, you could also do that in the Q&A. That's very easy to use on Zoom. Those of you on Facebook, please, well, first of all, thank you also for joining us. You're welcome to use the chat feature, the comment feature, excuse me, to let us know where you're viewing from as well. Also, if you have any comments and any questions, we may spread them throughout the discussion conversation, or we'll save them till the end. But we do welcome you to join in to the dialogue, the conversation that we're having tonight. A pretty cool one. Like Christine Jones, for instance, hola desde la Crescenta. Thank you for joining us, Christine. All right, well, without further ado here, let me tell you a couple updates. La Plaza de Cultura y Artes is now open from Wednesday through Tuesday from noon to 5 p.m. No reservations needed, but they're encouraged if you'd like at lapca.org. That's where you get all the information about La Plaza, lapca.org. We have several exhibitions that are open. Afro Latinidad, Mi Casa, My City, Carlos Montes, Evolution of Form, and then outside, if you just happen to cruise by our facility here, our buildings here on Main Street, we have Only Light Can Do That. It's a neon art installation by Patrick Martinez. Okay, let's see what we're doing tonight. Centro CSO, La Lucha Sigue, the fight continues. Boyle Heights-based Centro CSO organizes for the rights of the undocumented, quality public education, and supporting in solidarity with other communities and community organizations seeking social justice. They have been around for a while, started off as community service organization, but to first of all introduce our panelists, our guests who are here with us tonight. First of all, we'll have Carlos Montes. He's a nationally recognized immigrant rights, anti-war, pro-public education Chicano activist, and former political prisoner. Local boy, Hollenbeck Middle School, Roosevelt, graduated from Garfield. He's a founder of the Brown Beret, La Vida Nueva, Mecha, and the first Chicano moratorium against the Vietnam War in 1969. All right, so let's see, he's indicted twice by the LA grand jury. East LA 13th for the East LA walkouts. Mucho más. This guy is very active. And he's still got a smile on his face. Currently retired and an organizer with Centro CSO in Boyle Heights, working on promoting public education, fighting against police killings, and so much more. Carlos, welcome.
Hey, good to be here, Abelardo. Thank you. And I love La Plaza de Cultura y Arte. You know, glad to be here. The fight continues.
It sure does.
I tell people I'm so busy, I need to get a job to get.
Well, thank you. And thank you so much for helping me to bring on our other guests as well. We have next, let's see, Lupe Torres. Lupe Torres describes herself as a Chicana Mexicana, mujer, mother, educator, activist, art, music, and nature lover. Please join us, Lupe, and just say a few words and welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here. And I'm very excited to be here. We're very grateful for La Plaza. We've been waiting for this organization for a long time. It was very much needed in Los Angeles. So we're very excited to be part of La Plaza and everything that it brings to the community in the city. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Alejandro Orellana. He's a Marine Corps veteran of 3.5 years. During that time, he witnessed depraved, unabashed examples of racism, chauvinism, and utter lack of empathy for human life. A stark contrast of the ethos that the Marine Corps prides itself. So on April 21st, 2016, he issued a formal statement of conscientious objection, left the service to struggle for justice and self-determination for Aztlán and its people. Welcome, Alejandro.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes, ¿cómo estás hoy noche?
Bien, buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Sí, aquí estoy en la lucha, siguiéndola.
Muy bien. Y la plática será en bilingüe, como todos los programas que tenemos aquí en Plaza en Casa con la Plaza. Si quieren contestar o platicar en español o en inglés, a sus órdenes. And finally, we have with us Sol Marquéz, a proud Chicana member of Freedom Road Socialist Organization. For the past decade, she's been helping unite Chicanos around the importance of self-determination and freedom. She currently organizes for Centro CSO. Welcome, Sol.
Muchas gracias, Abelardo. And it's a pleasure to be on here with the other members of Centro CSO, showcasing the work that we do. So thank you to La Plaza, thank you to you especially, and it's a pleasure to be on. Thank you.
Well, thank you all so much. We're going to get started just with a couple, an image and then a short video to get you to kind of show what Centro CSO does, has done, and continues to do. So we're going to share my PowerPoint once more and move on a couple of images here. Let's see what this is. This is okay. This is something I didn't do, which I will do, which is share sound and optimize for video clip. And let's try it again.
Welcome to the 50th Chicano moratorium.
We're gonna take back that power that's rightfully ours. Take back, fight back.
Chicano. Chicana.
We got to stay united. If you got a rainbow flag, make sure you wave that proud because that's also our raza, right? When we say everybody, we say everybody.
We cannot sit on the sidelines and hope that somebody is gonna bring us change.
Rubén Salazar was targeted because he was speaking for us.
Do not be afraid to speak out. Do not be afraid to take up space. And do not be afraid to organize with other youth.
La policía, la misma porquería.
Chicano! ¡Que viva la raza!
The biggest criminals are the Los Angeles County sheriffs, the LAPD that murder us for generations.
Now, if that was me who shot somebody 13 times, I'd be in prison.
Rubén Salazar, he was murdered 50 years ago on this day. Did he get justice? No. Has Andres got justice? Has Paul got justice? Has Daniel got justice? When they tell us that us brown people are criminals or black people are criminals because of the way we look, let's not go ahead and confuse it. The biggest criminals are sitting at the Oval Office right now in the White House. We need to take the baton. We need to be the leaders that we want to see in 10, 20 years from now.
Juntos luchamos por justicia. Juntos luchamos por Aztlán. Juntos luchamos por libertad.
Extremely powerful. I received this video a few months back, and what I have to say is that in the midst of the pandemic, right there on August 29th, 2020, when the whole community had planned so much to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Chicano moratorium, Centro CSO was one of the few that actually carried through. And as you see, not only spoke about the Chicano moratorium, but of current current issues. So please, Carlos, if we could begin with you and tell us about what you did that day and how you got it together.
Now, an awesome day, the 50th anniversary of the Chicano moratorium, you know, demanding self-determination, pero también alto a los asesinatos policíacos, demandamos educación pública y legalización para todos. So, you know, we united the community, the youth came out. I was so proud of everyone that's on the video, on the online right now, and it came out in the middle of the pandemic. So we're going to do it again, the 51st anniversary, August 29. Again, we're going to be marching down Whittier Boulevard and rally at Salazar Park. We thought it was very important not only to commemorate the moratorium, but to denounce and bring up the current issues that we face are today. Thank you.
Yes, and it is the fact that you continue in looking at the different issues. If you could, if one of you could give us just a brief history of Centro CSO, it's how it emerged from the community service organization.
I can talk about that. About 6 years ago, right, Carlos? There was a big need in Boyle Heights, talking to the community. It was on the height of when the licenses had been allowed for immigrants, right? Here in California. And just in talking with the community, there was big needs and questions about immigration. And we started with that. And then we organized the first May Day, right, in Boyle Heights. And after that, the community just saw us as a place to go and ask for help or ask for information. The community needed agency. And so things like police brutality came up, privatization of schools started happening in Los Angeles very fast. So those were issues that we had to tackle because they were needed. And this was information that the community needed and support. So that's how we got started.
All right, thank you. And Alejandro, how did you begin your participation in Centro CSO? ¿Cómo comenzaste su participación?
I've been a member of Centro CSO 6 years, since 2015. So it's been a while. I mean, I was you know, during this time, like we did so much. Like I actually spoke at in front of a recruiting station, and I, you know, essentially recounted my story, but I was actually a reservist, and during the time that I got involved with CSO, I was still participating in regular drill, and you know, like I was interested in like you know, what was going on in the community, obviously, because for the most part, like I mean, we were taught to help people, so I wanted to know what was the you know, the issues with our communities. And I learned through CSO, you know, like the injustices that our people face, and not just, you know, out here, but even in the military. Like I recounted, like I was discriminated. I saw other people get discriminated, blacks and browns, you know, by the white supremacist system of the U.S. military, and so when Trump came into office, which was sort of like just a blatant example of white supremacism in the U.S., I defected and I dedicated to fighting for justice for Chicanos with CSO.
All right, thank you. Sol, what's your involvement been with CSO historically, and what are you involved with now? What is bringing your attention now?
Yeah, thank you. So I had traveled. I actually am not really from Los Angeles. I was living in Tampa, Florida, when I heard about Centro CSO and the work that, you know, Centro CSO was up to. In 2012, when I met Carlos at the Republican National Convention protest over in Tampa, which I helped organize against. And so he had been mentioning to me that, you know, there's this amazing Chicano group, and I was a part Chicana at the time. So I never wanted to stay in Tampa, Florida. So, we ended up moving, my husband and I, who is also another activist, a labor activist and a member of CSO. And so we moved over here in 2015, and the rest is history. Currently, some of the stuff that I'm helping with is organizing for the 51st Chicano moratorium. We are going to talk about it in a little bit, but that's something that we're really starting to create a bunch of atmosphere around, and we're collaborating with a lot of different organizations. So it's a very important time to commemorate our big gains that we've had as Chicanos throughout history.
All right, thank you. Well, one of the hallmarks I think of Centro CSO is you're both hyper local in that you're located in Boyle Heights and you take on so many issues that are affecting the community, but also you're macro in that you have a far reach in organizing and supporting other community organizations throughout Southern California. How do you maintain that really focus on your community, but also on the greater? How does that work? Anybody? Carlos.
Well, we're based locally. I mean, for example, when Jesse Romero was killed, Sol lived on the block where he was originally raided by the LAPD. And this is our community. In 2016, 4 or 5 young men were killed in Boyle Heights by Hollenbach LAPD. And CSO, we're the only ones that took it on. And also in East LA, Lupe lives in East LA, Alejandro lives in East LA. And we're based in Boyle Heights and East LA. And when the families faced the killing, we visited the family, helped organize, a fight back, a protest at the local stations. And also we work with, with families, students, and teachers at local schools, like Lupe was saying, fighting against charter schools coming in. But then, Alejandro mentioned the protests at the Marine recruiting station. So we also denounced the big picture, the U.S. wars of aggression. And so let me stop there. I don't want to take too much time. So you all can build on that. The rest of you, Sol, Lupe, Alejandro.
Yes, Lupe, you could tell us about your involvement with the charter schools. And one of the, first of all, before we, one of the really points of CSO is, of course, the reach within the community, but also as a voice of the community and the media. Just a quick search on the internet showed Centro CSO being mentioned when it came time, when the DA Gascon, when he named his committee, how you worked with the Black Lives Matter movement, the holding the march and rally at East LA Sheriff Station. So you are a known quantity out in the community, but also via the media. And Lupe, and more than a couple, you are spotlighted, you're highlighted. Tell us about the issues that are really that you're most involved with right now.
Yeah, we're definitely allies with, with other organizations that we work with. We have similar views. BLM is one of our biggest allies. They're fighting the same fight that we're fighting with police brutality and police killings. So yeah, we're definitely allies with them. Also, we support the United Teachers of Los Angeles. I'm a United Teachers of LA member and I'm active with them, but I'm also active in East Los Angeles because that's my community. So, when Centro CSO, the refounding that we did of it a few years ago, we were in that middle of that fight when charters were coming in. So Carlos was very active working with Garfield High School and stopping Green Dot Charter from coming in, and that was a big win for the community. And then right after that, we had to go help Roosevelt because Roosevelt was being invaded by another for-profit charter, collegiate. And so it just hasn't stopped, and then they started targeting a lot of those small schools. We have a committee, an education committee in Centro CSO, just as well. We have other committees. We have a labor committee, immigration committee, police brutality committee, and we have members of the community and Centro CSO members who are involved in this committee, in these committees, and that's how we organized. Our education committee is formed by parents in East Los Angeles and Boyle Heights, teachers who teach in the community or live in this community. And so, you know, what we do is we inform the community of what are charters and what are privatizing charters and how they are able to manipulate monies and get away with that because of Proposition 39. And so always keeping the community informed and making sure that public schools have our support if they need it. So that's how the education committee works. And I know that BLM is very supportive of public schools. They were very involved in the fight to defund school police and other actions that were happening with the school police that were completely wrong at the public schools. So a lot of our issues are very similar. So, you know, we have allies and other organizations that we organize with.
That's important, the allyship between organizations, between individuals, because of so many injustices taking place within all of our communities at the present time, and ways to get people involved is really the hallmark of, I think, of Centro CSO, is that you find a place for everybody and their issues. Like Alejandro, yours is you talked about the anti-war activism. Could you tell us a little bit more about Centro's involvement in that activity?
Yeah, so in the past, we've done actions like denouncing US aggression against different countries. And we did one in which we went out for hands off Syria. And then we did one for Iran, which was actually the same protest that we did for the 50th Chicano moratorium. It was around that time where we were planning an anti-war action, and that happened just then, the US aggression against Iran. So we tied it into hands off Iran. And more recently, we've been doing work with the pro-Palestinian organizations and denouncing, you know, US support of apartheid in Israel. And we've you know, there's a lot of things that come up here and there in the anti-war struggle. You know, one day it's an aggression, and the next day, you know, nothing happens. But it's coming from a military background. I know there's always you know, actions being taken behind the public's knowledge. So there's always something coming up with the anti-war actions, definitely.
Well, thank you. Sol, what is right now on your, I know that I can't say on your plate because there's just so many issues and activities that Centro is involved with, but what is your main focus presently?
Well, I would love to show, because I have a little thing here. Is it okay to show my screen?
Of course it is, yes. Just
Awesome.
share screen and go right ahead.
Here we go.
There we go.
Okay, I'm just gonna pull it up real quick.
Okay.
Sorry about that, everybody.
No problem. These are 21st century Zoom challenges.
Right? Okay, hi. Okay, there we go. So
right.
I had a little thing there. So what we're doing right now is, you know, we were talking about the Chicano moratorium. So this is last year's, right? And this is something that I'm currently working on, like, a lot. And so the 50th was the big, you know, the big 50th anniversary of the 1970 Chicano moratorium. For those of you who may not know what that is, you know, it's the day that Chicanos came out in big full force against the Vietnam War in 1970. Over 30,000 Chicanos took to the streets in East LA, and they were from all over the country. Last year on the 50th one, it happened again. There were Chicanos from all the way in Georgia who came over to participate. And this is the march on the streets. I myself didn't march because I was pregnant at the time, 5 months pregnant, but a lot of the other people who are on this panel did. march, and I'm very proud of them. I rode with the sound truck, but this is what we're up to this year. And we plan on it being pretty similar to how it was last year. And you had our flyer earlier, Abelardo, but I just wanted to showcase it one more time. Something that we're building with all these different organizations that are right here. It's we have a really close tie with all of these organizations that are on the flyer. We have CSO Youth, which is the wing of young people that came out from building for the 50th Chicano moratorium. Third World Power, La Mesa, Brown Berets, it's a national organization. Of course, us, El Partido La Raza Unida, and Asociación de Raza Educators of Los Angeles, and a group of attorneys who are awesome in fighting against police brutality named Justice X. And so what I'm helping build with CSO is the next public meeting, which is going to be July 17th at 10 a.m. Everyone is welcome to attend, and it's going to be over at Ruben Salazar Park. So, we're building up for the 51st, and we really hope that anybody who's watching this is interested, if they could come out and join us for the planning meeting, but also on the actual day, which is going to be on Sunday, the 29th.
All right, thank you. A question I have for and any of you could answer is during we had some difficult few months from around last March to until very recently that we've been able to open up. How what was the process of planning, of organizing and activating during the pandemic? Go ahead, Sol.
Awesome. Okay. So we had to switch, like pretty much any other organization, we had to switch to virtually. For Centro CSO, we always met once a month, every third Wednesday. We still do it every third Wednesday, but no longer in person. We used to meet at the Benjamin Franklin Library, which is right across the street from the Hollenbeck Police Station. And it's public, it's open to everyone, it's accessible to a lot of people, like wheelchairs, and there's air conditioning, right, which is so important in Los Angeles. So we had it there every single month, right? And so because of the pandemic, we had our location shut down. Whether we wanted to agree with social distancing or not, it didn't make a difference. Our location was shut down. So we were forced to take it online. And ever since, we've been able to span in different areas. People from all over who normally wouldn't have been able to participate in person are now able to attend our meetings, right? It's opened the gateway to a lot of people from all over Los Angeles. And we also created our committees, which Lupe mentioned earlier. And it's opened a lot of different pathways for a lot of things. I just wonder how we'll address it when we have to go back into the library and, we're going to be in person. I'm sure it'll be creative, but it'll be a result of post-pandemic organizing.
Sure. Lupe, you work in the education committee with parents and teachers and allies. How have your planning, how has it been going through the pandemic? And what activities are you looking forward to getting involved with now that things are opening up?
Right, so we have had Centro CSO live activities also. We've had marches and protests, and along with our online meetings. And I think I want to give kudos to all of us because we've done a really good job to make sure that we provide masks for everybody and we promote mask wearing, distancing. We always have hand sanitizers. We have water, and we do announce that. So even during this pandemic, when we had the Chicano moratorium, our March last year, that was big. And we have gotten donations also, so we can have those supplies available for everybody and make sure, safety first, right? So with the education committee, we have some events that we have been working on. One of the things that we did is we had a press conference at the California Charter School Association in downtown Los Angeles. And we had people from Baldwin Hills, from Wilmington, from Montebello, and throughout the city of Los Angeles. We had teachers and parents who wanted to share their stories about privatization of schools and how that has affected their community and their schools. So that was very successful. Along with that, we created a flyer, and this is an information flyer that we're going to be passing out into the community. And if you want that flyer, you can message Centro CSO and we'll get that to you. This flyer gives information on how do charter schools function? Because, you know, the community sometimes is confused. A lot of times charter schools, you know, they look better because they have more funding. So parents are attracted to those schools, and because our public schools haven't been funded. So, you know, they haven't been funded accordingly or appropriately. So they look to the public like, oh, the schools are failing, when actually public schools are very successful because we take all the children, we take all the kids. So that information flyer is very important. So that's going to be, we're going to be leafletting that in the community this month in East Los Angeles and Boyle Heights. So the parents and the students can read what is a charter school. They need to be informed. No one has taken the time to inform them. And so we are doing that. And then we're building to have like a forum, a community forum, where it's going to be through Zoom. And so it will be to inform whoever wants to participate, the community, you know, anybody who wants to join, what are charter schools and what is happening with, you know, charter schools right now, and how is that affecting public schools? So we're building on that and just making sure the community has all the information before they make those choices, right? And so we are very big on supporting public schools because public schools support all students from special ed to gifted kids to English learners. And so we are big supporters of public schools. So those are our projects for this summer.
All right, and how can people get on a mailing list or learn about the education committee, these activities that you're planning on doing, and the other Centro CSO activities?
Yeah, so we publicize all our activities on Facebook and Instagram and some on TikTok. We also have Twitter, and we have an email account. We also have a phone number. So you can look us up on Facebook, Centro CSO, and you can start from there. Also, we meet the third Wednesday of every month. And you can join our meetings, and that information is publicized also on Instagram and on Facebook. And the education committee and all the different committees have different dates that we meet on. For the education, it's the first Tuesday of every month. And we announce our meeting dates at our general Centro CSO meeting on the third Wednesday of every month. And I saw that Sol posted a link to our Centro CSO. Is that our website or?
I've put I've included your Facebook and your website as well. So no, great. I know that you're very techno savvy, all of you, in being able to get the word out, you know, during these times using Zoom, your Facebook, your Instagram, and you have so much information, not just about your activities, but also other activities that are taking place in the community. Carlos, el veterano of activism for so many years. You know, you've seen the hardships that have been in our communities for so long. Yes. But now the youth are really getting involved. People like who we have here on our panel today. How is it that you're reaching out to them to bring them in to get involved?
Well, I mean, the major upsurge last year after the George Floyd rebellion was part of it, right? But, you know, Boyle Heights and East LA, we face extreme poverty. And we started advocating for more testing of COVID and more vaccinations. It's one of the things we did with the County of LA, right? And, you know, like Lupe says, we work with the local teachers and students and parents. And when the family comes out, the mom comes out, the mom brings the young teenagers as well as the elementary school students, right? It's a matter of organizing. We've always done door to door. We had to stop because of COVID, but we do corner rallies and tabling. We were at Hollenbeck Park a few weeks ago, tabling, and a lot of families came out for the carne asada. The mother came out with all the kids. We signed them up and invited them, you know, and they really love it that someone is fighting for them. especially because of the extreme poverty and racism that we face in Boyle Heights, the pollution, the gentrification, the police abuse. And I wanted to highlight that our work on the police killings, we had a big rally for the 2-year anniversary of the killing of Paul Rea at Belvedere Park on June the 27th, where we denounced the East LA Sheriff and Alex Villanueva. You know, our campaign right now is Adios Villanueva, Boot the Bandito, because we found out that the Bandito gang at East LA Sheriff Station have been killing our youth as part of their prospect recruiting effort. And we work strongly with BLMLA, like Lupe pointed out. We emphasize and strategic alliance of Black and Brown unity. And working with BLMLA last year, we were able to campaign to get rid of Jackie Lacey. And now we have George Gascon, who's implemented some progressive reforms that we're looking forward to jailing, prosecuting some of these cops, you know. So that's a big part of our effort. And working with the families against police killings, you know, the neighborhood, the young men and women respect our work, and you know, that we live in Boyle Heights and we know what's going on, you know.
All right.
And Sol can build more on that too, I'm sure.
All right. Well, one of the issues that you touched on was the fatal use of force. And
Yes.
and most recently, you were appointed by the district attorney, George Gascon, to the what's called the Factual Analysis Citizen Consulting Team, which is a group composed of civil rights attorneys, scholars, and more, who will identify, prioritize, and review these use of force cases. Have you already started meeting, and what's your experience been with that group, Carlos?
We started meeting, we're all volunteers, and including Paula Miner, who is a member of BLMLA. It's very exhaustive, extensive work, because we're looking at the at the police reports, at independent witnesses, videos, depositions, you know, and we are in the process of looking at the cases that Jackie Lacey refused to prosecute during 8 years of her tenure with over 600 killings, right? So for 8 years, she didn't do anything, over 600 killings. So we're starting, you know, looking at those cases, and we're going to be submitting recommendations to the new DA, George Gascon. And, you know, we're meeting every week. You know, it's hard work, but, you know, we're doing it. Absolutely. And that was a victory of getting rid of Jackie Lacey, led by BLMLA. And we're strong allies of that campaign, you know. Right. And you'll hear more about it, you know, and you know, he's been in office 6 months and people are saying, what's going on? Hey, he's in 6 months compared to 8 years of Jackie Lacey not doing no hizo nada, you know. So we're pushing it. Yes.
Well, we welcome your participation in that, Carlos. Alejandro, one question I have, you know, I know that you're focused on anti-war because of what you saw as a service member. Is there work that you do with other veteranos, other people that have left the service, or even older people? What's your experience there?
Well, I've met some other veteranos that some through the 50th Chicano moratorium, but I occasionally do work with service members here and there. My focus primarily right now is in building labor struggle and unionizing workers and.
I think you froze up there.
You know, things.
Okay, Alejandro, I'm afraid
you.
All right, Alejandro, I'm afraid you froze up there. But he was speaking of labor struggles. CSO. I'm reading here that you had that you participated in the May Day activities just this past month, a couple months ago. All right, Alejandro.
He may need to be muted if someone can mute him.
Thank you. Let me try that. Yeah, these are let's see, participants. Okay.
Were you able to get
Thank
Ray
you.
Andrade? Did
No,
Ray
Ray
Andrade come
Andrade
on?
was not able to come on.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he was Ray Andrade, a Vietnam era vet who had
And we
who
want
has been involved
to
with Centro
empower,
for a while.
you know, Chicanos and unions,
Okay.
because
Yeah, I'm trying to do it from my end. Y no sirve. Anyway, some final questions that I have. What's we talked? I know that you're getting involved or at least organizing for the 51st anniversary of the Chicano moratorium. How are you you know, bringing in other organizations into the mix for that one? And what can we as activists, as community members do to start assisting in that? Okay, Sol, if you could answer that.
How to join the fight, right? Is
That's
that correct,
right.
Abelardo?
Yes. That's
Yeah,
the,
so
that's the,
there's various ways, right? Lupe had mentioned it, and I think it was mentioned a few times that every third Wednesday we meet, and we're still doing it virtually, so anybody can participate. I mean, you could do it over your phone if you don't have internet. And so, yeah, it's posted online in various places on our Twitter, on our Facebook, on our Instagram, even our TikTok. I don't have TikTok, but it's on there too. And so, yeah, you can find our website. It's centrocso.wordpress.com. And we have a calendar on there too. But yeah, you can join, and there are different committees. There is the Education Committee, the Immigration Committee, Police Brutality Committee, and all of these different committees are doing good work around, you know, issues that affect our neighborhoods. For example, I help lead the immigration one, and some of the issues that have come up for us are, you know, the street vendors who were getting ticketed and who were also getting, you know, really harassed. Not only are they ticketed, their supply is also ruined, right? That is thrown in the garbage. Sometimes they're accosted or just harassed in general. And so some of these issues come up, and then we can tackle them individually, right? Like in a closer setting as opposed to like a public meeting. So, you know, anybody's welcome to participate. If people are interested in building for the 51st Chicano moratorium, then I would definitely stress again that y'all can participate on the 17th of July, which is a Saturday. And it is at 10 a.m. So we will have to bring you all some coffee and maybe some pan dulce, because I know that that's a little bit early for a lot of people on the weekend. But if you want to participate, it's open to anyone, right? Like I have a friend who just, there you go. Thank you so much, Abelardo, for posting it up. And it's going to be at Ruben Salazar Park. It's most likely going to be out in the open. So, you know, you'll get a chance to get some vitamin D out there, and help us make sure that the 51st is a really good one, that it's inclusive of everybody. And, you know, last year we had rainbow flags, we had Central American flags. It's not just a thing for Mexicanos, you know, like I think a lot of people get confused by, you know, what a Chicano moratorium is. And it's people who are part of this neighborhood, right? It's for anybody who has experienced racism at the hands of cops, border patrol, etc. So yeah, that's one way to get involved.
all right, thank you. We have a question here from Nancy de los Santos. When will we know that real change has happened? Anybody?
I've been talking too much, so I'll wait.
No. Go ahead.
Come
Go
on,
ahead,
Lupe,
Carlos.
Sol, Lupe.
Well, I can talk a little bit about that. I think when you're involved in activism, it's really hard to see change, you know, but change is happening. I think every win is a win. We had wins in East Los Angeles against charter schools, and, you know, Mariana Elementary School did not get co-located by a charter. Roosevelt High School didn't. Garfield High School didn't. And we're informing, you know, the community, and it's a constant fight. So I think we're winning all the time. It's going to be constant, because we're fighting against a lot of money, right? All of these fights are about money, and that money is controlling all of these fights. So I think it's going to be constant. It has to be constant. But I do see a lot more people joining, and I really love that the youth is joining, and I love that communities from all over Los Angeles are are joining the fights that Centro CSO is involved in, and then we have allies. So I think that's really important that we look at it that way. Sometimes we have to stop and look, where are we winning? Where are we seeing progress? And I think that we do have progress. I mean, just having Centro CSO in Boyle Heights, reopen again, I think that's big because the community needed it and the community was asking for that help. So we have parents, students, multi-generational members, and families that come in as members. And I think that that's a big win. That's a big win for Boyle Heights and East Los Angeles and for the city of Los Angeles too, so I see a lot of winning.
All right. How about yourself, Alejandro? Are you seeing, how do you know when change has happened in the areas that you're currently working with?
There's time when change happens very quickly, and there's time when change happens very, very slowly. And I mean, I've been seeing a lot of change very quickly, recently with the, with the uprisings, the uprisings that happened due to the murder of George Floyd, and yeah, it's just that people are, realizing the state of racism in this country, and a lot more people are joining, which is a good thing. We always need we need a lot of people because like the teacher said, we're up against a lot of money, so we have to have a lot of people join in on this because it's going to take a lot to see tangible change in the future.
No, and you're exactly right in that one aspect of the fight for justice. We have seen a lot going on, a lot more to go, of course, but I think the combined efforts of so many groups, including Centro CSO, has really made a difference. So how about yourself? When will you know when real change has happened?
I appreciate this question from Nancy de los Santos, and also big shout out to Nancy, who's been a big supporter of CSO. So thank you, Nancy. I'm gonna answer going along with what both Lupe and Alex have both said. It is really hard to measure progress or success, but it's there. It definitely is. The fact that we were able to stop a big charter school from, plotting itself between all of these schools that are already in existence is a huge victory. Essentially we helped stop capitalism, which is like a big word for big money, right? And then also another thing that we did in 2016, there was a big amount of police killings. 2 teenagers, a 14-year-old named Jesse Romero, a 16-year-old named Jose Mendez, and they were killed, and there were like 8 killings in under a year, and in this small neighborhood of Boyle Heights. And progress, I think, in that regard, because we didn't successfully get these killer cops to be jailed, which is one of the demands that we were asking for. But they didn't kill anymore at that huge number again in 2017 or to this day. And it's a morbid example of progress, but it's definitely a progress anyway. The fact that they're not killing us how they were in 2016 is huge. Which is, unless there was an organization like Centro CSO and the community fighting back, then where would we be? They probably would have said it's okay to kill all these Chicanitos, all these young people. Nobody does anything anyway, right? Another way that we've seen change is, in the immigration committee, we were ready to start fighting back against the vendors getting harassed. And just recently they announced, the city announced that they're no longer going to be ticketing street vendors, right? Which is another huge victory. And I would say that it's not solely a victory that was Centro CSO's, but I do think that it's important for it to be recognized that organizations like Centro CSO did help initiate a lot of this movement. And I would have to commend everybody who's been a part of this struggle, these struggles, and has united, not just for, you know, their own families if they were affected by police brutality, but for their entire neighborhoods. You know, Chicanos are saying enough is enough, and this is how it looks. This is how our struggle looks, our lucha.
All right, and Carlos, you've been on the lucha for so many years, from, you know, from '69 and even before that, and you've seen so much that has happened, and you've been a participant. How are you seeing this change, please?
How do I see this change? Well, you know what? I'm inspired because last year we saw millions of young people take to the street, united, like, you know, black, brown, Asian, and white. And, you know, I hit the streets in the '92 rebellion, you know, and with 30 of our folks were killed. It was massive. It was not organized. We rebelled. But last year's rebellion was more organized. We had demands, jail killer cops. You know, it was well organized. So I think we're building a mass movement in the United States where Blacks and Chicanos are uniting with all working people to really, you know, have a revolution in this country. I think we need a revolution in this country. And I'm glad that Sol brought up the word capitalism. You know, I think millions of young people are now open to the idea of looking at alternative economic system. And I'll say the word socialism, why not, right? So I'm inspired by the millions of people that hit the street. And what we emphasize in Boyle Heights is organize. Let's hit the streets in the millions, but organize in your community, in your workplace, in your school, and build a base and unite to fight back, you know. And we won a lot of victories, you know, in the past, you know, and Sol brought out that issue. We got the captain out of there, transferred, and they did de-escalation tactics instead of shooting, you know, I mean, but the struggle continues. And, you know, and we support the struggle for democracy in Mexico and Latin America. And like, I'm glad that, you know, that Alex brought out the issue of the Palestinian people and the Colombian people. So, you know, even though we organize in Boyle Heights and East LA, we see that the US empire, unfortunately, continues to invade military and economically other countries, which we denounce, but we bring it right back home, you know, protests at the Marine Recruiting Station, organized in the schools. And remember, we united with UTLA a couple of years ago in marching in the streets for a successful strike. So, you know, the future is bright, si se puede. You know, we don't mourn, we organize, right?
Well, thank you so much. No, for that final thought. There is so many issues going on in the world right now. I mean, we're just getting out of the pandemic, which was a big health crisis, social crisis, economic crisis. But at the same time, it brought attention to the other social injustices taking place, not just in our own community, but in communities throughout the world, and within our nation. And it's really inspiring to know that Centro CSO has continued these efforts. You know, some people may not agree with tactics, may not agree with but we all have to celebrate the outcomes when it's for our people. So muchas gracias a todos for participating in tonight's session of En Casa con la Plaza, La Lucha Sigue. Any final thoughts? Sol, please.
Yes, help us build for the 51st Chicano moratorium by coming out to July 17th, an open public meeting for anyone. Pan dulce and café. I already promised it, so I'm going to bring it. We'll see you there at Ruben Salazar Park.
All right, great. Alejandro, any final thoughts, please?
I just want to say, yes, well, we'll see you at the 51st Chicano moratorium. You know, La Lucha Sigue. Viva Aslan.
Thank you. And Lupe.
Yeah, I want to highlight one important event that we had, and we had a major win. We had one of our major wins was a lawsuit where we sued a charter school from building in Boyle Heights, and that saved 650 kids from leaving public schools, and it also saved public school teachers' jobs. So that is a big win, and it's also historical. That's historical. It hasn't been done in the city of Los Angeles, And so that's how we fight, right? We don't give up. We didn't give up. We went all the way to the end. City Hall told us to leave, to you know, that it wasn't going to happen, but you know, we won that fight and we're very proud of that. So we don't stop. When it's wrong, we fight all the way to the end. So join us for our meeting the third Wednesday of every month, and help us organize, because we need more help.
All right, thank you. And Carlos.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Awesome. And, you know, I want to make sure that we shout out and invite the GLBTQ, the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer community, that they had a strong presence last year at the Chicano Moratorium. So the Chicano Moratorium, like you all said, Lupe, and so it's for everyone in our community. And we unite to fight back. And thank you so much, Abelardo, for having us. And I look forward to La Plaza. I think you're gonna have a salsa night coming up. I'll be there. I'll be there with my salsa shoes on, ready to dance and continue the struggle. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Oh, muchas gracias a ustedes. And one final just thought on mine is that you do it with such, you know, dedication, passion, and you do it with joy. And I think it comes through that you're serious people, straightforward, but you're out there, you know, living your best lives, doing what really matters and what's really impacting the community. So thank you all for that. I also want to thank everybody that joined us today on Facebook. We have a few people, just Priscilla, a recent guest in Casa con la Plaza. Let's see, La Lucha Sigue, dice, and last year's moratorium was great. From Angelica Lozano, good information and discussion. Thank you, Centro CSO, for all the work you do for our communities. We have, let's see, Chispa Hills. Can we get contact info on all the presenters from tonight again? I've posted the Centro US CSO website, so you could get that information from there. Is there a specific email that you could share that would get to somebody?
We all have access to it. It's like a joint communicative email. It's centrocso@gmail.com. And if you just put in the subject heading, whoever you want to reach out to, it'll get to one of us. Okay, we check it all the time. It's like on all of our phones.
All right, so centrocso@gmail.com. I'm writing it here on the comments. Centrocso@gmail.com.
Thank you.
Slow tonight. There you go. All right. Let's see. Rosario Bonilla says thank you. No, thank you all that Chispa Hills also said, I'm one of those people who can't always make it into LA. I know we need help in the LA center, but I live on the fringes. So I'm thankful, so thankful for these activists and any online events that I could participate in. I'm definitely following you all and will do all I can to support the efforts and hope that someday my area catches up with civility. And we hope that happens too. So otra vez, thank you, Priscilla Luna, to everybody that joined, Nancy de los Santos, Christine Jones, Daniel Lopez, Angie Castro, Angelica, all of you out there in the community. If you want to see this, if you didn't catch this entire session, you want to see it again, go to we'll be posting it on our YouTube page at La Plaza LA. It's also on our Facebook page at La Plaza LA. And I know Centro CSO shared it as well. Let's see, you could catch all of our sessions. This is like number 180 pico here on En Casa con la Plaza, and really enjoyed this one. Upcoming sessions, we have this Friday, like I said, we also have performances. East Side Spanish Guitar with Luis Villegas. He's a Grammy-nominated Mexican-American guitarist. He combines flamenco with pop, with rock. It's going to be a conversation and a performance as well. So that's this Friday on En Casa con la Plaza at 7 p.m. Next week, first opportunity to come to La Plaza with one of our outdoor events. We have Carlos Almaraz, Playing with Fire, a documentary on the legendary Chicano artist. It'll be doors open here at La Plaza next Saturday at 6 p.m. we'll have a performance by the Sacred Souls, a Chicano oldies group playing out of San Diego. They'll be with us. We'll have a panel featuring the directors, co-directors, Richard Montoya and Elsa Flores, and Barbara Carrasco is going to be here. Hopefully John Valadez, and zooming in is Frank Romero. So that's our first live outdoor event. You know, we'll be safe. Well, maybe some refreshments, we'll see. But then our first salsa show on July 23rd at 6 p.m. the Arsenio Rodriguez Project. But you could catch all this information on our website, lapca.org, also on our Facebook page at La Plaza LA. And again, we have our YouTube page at La Plaza LA. So muchas gracias a todos. Thank you all so much for joining us. And we'll see you all soon. Okay, buenas noches.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. Buenas noches. Awesome program.
Thank you, Abelardo.
You're
This was
welcome.
great.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.